Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of Full Metal Breakdown. If you're enjoying this series, why not consider giving me a subscribe and a like? I do this every week, and I can't wait to go over all of FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood and then O3 with you guys. And if you got any suggestions, let me know. Maybe I'll cover something else in the future. Anyway, let's get into it and enjoy the show.
You are Bas Gron, the Iron Blood Alchemist, correct? Foolish alchemists who have turned their backs on the ways of God shall all be punished.
I see. You must be the bloodthirsty murderer who's been making a habit of targeting state alchemists lately. You're fast. Try this! A little more! That wasn't so difficult. What? No! How? He's looking at you, dipshit!
So, what we just saw, none of it was in the original material. However, I would say this works even better than what we had before. It sets up Scar very well as a threat, showing just how powerful and skilled he is with his alchemy and in hand-to-hand combat. And while I love this scene as an alternate introduction for Scar, because it works amazingly for setting him up, it kinda sucks that this is all we'll see of Bas Gron, as he'll only make a brief appearance in Riza's retelling of the Ishvalan War, which itself has cut out so much content from the manga during that section. But I'll get into that into the future when I reach that episode. Though, who knows, maybe I'll make a video covering that cut content and how it really could have benefited Brotherhood in the long run.
Fuhrer Bradley, Your Excellency, what brings you here?
Oh hey, it's Maria Ross and Denny Brosh. That's pretty cool that they made an appearance so early on in the episode. I didn't think they would make an appearance till a couple episodes later on. Neat.
Should you need any additional personnel, just ask. The man doing this is a traitor. I want him stopped.
With hindsight, it's pretty interesting to see that Bradley isn't mad because his soldier is dead. He's mad because this person is killing state alchemists that could be used as human sacrifices later down the line for the plan.
Havoc, give me a hand, will ya?
I've got plenty to do over here already. Next up, who's this?
Lieutenant Yoki. Remember, the crook who was using the Uswell coal mine concessions to line his own pockets? Anyway, the Elric brothers exposed what that dirty thief was up to, and now he's on the run.
Unfortunately, this is another instance where that beginning filler episode really does more harm than good overall. That episode could have been used for the mining town. Have it be the build-up so when May visit it later on in the story, it's more impactful for watchers on their first view. Not so much a clunky bad change like the last few episodes were, more of a, man, I wish we could have seen that kind of change, if that makes sense.
Master Sergeant Fury, how's the radio?
The receiver on this thing's seen better days. I think I'm gonna have to replace it.
Again, that just looks like straight up magic to me. I mean, I know the parts for my PC, but I don't know how to connect them all. Like, I could know what the material and motherboard is made of, but I don't know all the wiring, connecting, circuitry for it. It's like, Ed would have to know that on hand. And he's an alchemist, not a fucking technician. Nothing major, just kind of funny to think about it after a few watch-throughs.
Well done on the Lior case, you two. Nice work. I appreciate you resolving the matter.
He transmuted this huge chimera right in front of us.
That's not what happened. I mean, yes, he made the chimera, but he didn't transmute it in front of you. He made it beforehand and had it waiting. Don't you remember when he pulled that evil lever and was very, like, evil about it?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too. It might be worth looking into.
It might help if you consulted a specialist. The Sowing Life alchemist, Shao Tucker. He's done some heavy research into chimera transmutation. I'll introduce you.
You would do that for us?
Okay, what's the catch? You want something, don't you?
Nice little way of showing the difference between Ed and Al's personalities. Alphonse takes the gift at face value. Ed, knowing Mustang just a little bit better, is quick to assume there's a catch with it. Love that little bit of detail.
Don't doubt my motives. I'm trying to repay you for your work on the Lior case.
Doing you a favor is better than being indebted to you.
Now that's a clever way of rewriting things to make it fit the quicker narrative better for the first few episodes. Originally, Mustang was doing this as a favor for Ed and Al for stopping a train heist from happening, but they retook the context and made it fit for the Lior episode. Pretty clever. Oh, and that train heist is just nowhere to be mentioned in the entire show. but it's not too much of a big loss. Maybe a few little Easter eggs here and there later on that no one will get, but I'm not crying over it.
2 years ago, Tucker transmuted a chimera that could understand human speech. That earned him his certification as a state alchemist.
I understand human speech. You mean... Wait, you mean it talks? A chimera?
Right. Supposedly. It only said one thing. I want to die.
That's nothing to be worried about at all.
Man, this house is huge.
There are people out here. Look!
Nina, this is why I told you to keep the dog tied up.
Shao Tucker. I mean, I'm not sure what I could add to the conversation. Anything that could be said about him has been said, though I think people have misinterpreted his real motivation for what he did later on in the episode.
I'm sorry about the mess. Ever since my wife ran out, this place has been a wreck. I'm not much of a housekeeper. Now that we're all settled in, let me say that it's a pleasure to meet you, Edward.
One thing I don't think gets talked about enough is the clever design of Shao Tucker. From his overly pale skin, unkept face, unkept house, it's so clear that there's something off about him, but you just can't figure it out.
Ed is interested in the field of biologic alchemy.
If you want me to show you the tricks I've got up my sleeve, it's only fair you show me the tricks you've got up yours as well. It's the code we live by, equivalent exchange. Now, why are you interested in bioalchemy?
Ed, well, you see, he's...
Colonel.
There is just so much to unpack with these scenes. From Shao Tucker's glasses being skewed by the light to give him that ominous look so you can't look into his eyes as he's talking, to Mustang trying to help out Ed and cover for him. It's these subtle details that help build this world so flawlessly throughout the story, and I just love it.
You transmuted your mother? As an 11-year-old child? I see. So that's what earned you the title FullMetal Alchemist. You've had a rough time of it for someone so young.
It might seem a little odd that Ed was willing so quickly to tell Tucker their secrets, but if you think about it, from what Ed's heard of Tucker, it seems like he's in a very similar situation that his own mother was in. One parent looking after a child as the other one has ran out, making Ed feel like he can sympathize and trust Shao Tucker a bit more than maybe he should have, so quickly.
It's kind of embarrassing. I'm fairly widely regarded as an authority on chimeras, but the truth is, it hasn't actually been going that well lately.
All right, let's dive in. I'll start with this shelf.
I'll try starting over here.
They've got some ability to focus. I'm not sure they even know we're here anymore. Quite a catch, these two. A couple of prodigies.
I think I know why Shao Tucker's eyes being skewed by his glasses works so well as being a subtle unease. They say the eyes are a window into the soul. So if you're hiding your eyes, you must be hiding something in your soul. It's a clever little visual warning and a little visual uneasiness for the viewers to catch on.
Way up high!
Ow, what are you doing? You're supposed to be reading!
Again, this is a really good way of showing Ed and Al's difference as characters. Alphonse was quick to play and have a little bit of fun even though he was supposed to be working. And Ed, trying to be the stickler older brother, wanted to keep working and just focus, though very quickly turns around on it when the dog tries to get another upper hand on him. It's great. I love it. It's just a fun, silly way of showing these characters' personalities subtly. Love it.
What are you up to down there, Ed?
After all that, you must be dog-tired.
They even give Tucker an actual funny line to help you disarm, so when the shock of what happens later on, it really hits you on your first time seeing it. Very well done. Very sneaky and very well done.
Don't forget, assessment day is coming soon.
Yes, please assure him I know.
This whole section of Tucker almost breaking down explaining to Nina what assessment day is, what it means to him, and how everything they have is in jeopardy because of it, and if he doesn't do well. For a brief moment, all of the red flags we've seen so far visually are ignored or at least recontextualized to make it seem like we know something bad's going to happen, but we just don't know what it is. And for this brief moment, we all actually sympathize with Tucker just a little bit. And so far, this has been phenomenal. Even, I'd say, better than the original source material, as these little scenes and details escalate the situation just that much more.
You're right, Nina. I have to try hard. Or we'll be left with nothing. Again.
Your mother left 2 years ago?
Daddy said she went back to live at her parents' house.
Again, we can see just how much Nina and Tucker's situation is hitting at home for Edward. Seeing himself in Nina, and probably seeing just a little bit of his mother and Tucker for having to deal with a fellow parent walking out right in the middle of trying to raise this kid when things are at their lowest. He relates to it, and it shows that it breaks down that harder exterior of his and gets his softer side back out. It's so nice and well done and just a great scene.
Hey, you mangy mutt! Looks like you could use some exercise.
Let's go too, Nina.
Every time I see this scene, it's so bittersweet. It's so amazing and wonderful seeing Ed and Al having just fun, playing with Nina, being like big brothers to her. And knowing what comes next makes it just all the more heartbreaking when every time I have to rewatch it.
What I want to know is why this guy is only targeting state alchemists and no one else.
Maybe the certification is the reason. Or perhaps they feel they have not upheld their creed, alchemist be thou for the people. Alchemists who are supposed to be pillars of science and truth are turned into the military's walking weapons as soon as they receive certification. There are plenty of people, I'm sure, who have not forgotten the role that state alchemists played in the Ishvalan Civil War.
As Major Armstrong gives his reasoning on why someone might be going after state alchemists, you can barely tell in his voice that he kinda would understand why someone would want to go after them. Especially with the role he and so many other state alchemists played in the Ishvalan Civil War. Possibly feeling that it's justified that someone would come after them and take them out one by one for the roles they played. It shows his remorse for his actions and really helps build his character for later on in the story. Very well done. And I know I keep saying that a lot, but this episode is just so good. Oh hey, check it out. They gave Hughes' desk a detailed drawing of his wife and daughter. That's so cool. He's such a good dad, man. I'm so glad Ed and Al will have him throughout the rest of this series, learning from him and as he gives them fatherly wisdom and someone they can really look up to. I'm just so glad we're going to get to know Hughes so very well.
Before I earned my state alchemist certification, our life was terrible. We were so poor in those days. My wife couldn't stand living that kind of life, so she left us. I can't afford to fail this assessment. I don't want to go back to those days again. I don't even think I could.
There is so much I want to talk about this scene and how much I think of it. But I'm going to wait just a little bit longer to dig into it after the big reveal of what happens. Because it'll make all sense for my points right then and there if I just line them all up evenly. But still, fuck you, Tucker. You're a big piece of shit.
Don't worry, Daddy. It's okay. If those people do tell you no, me and Alexander will growl at them until they say yes.
You tell him, Nina.
Hey, Nina. I've got an idea. Do you want to play with Daddy tomorrow?
Really?
Yeah.
Alexander, Daddy says he's going to play with us tomorrow.
Fuck, man, that hits even harder when you have to rewatch it a few times for editing. Man, it's just, oh, that's so heartbreaking. I don't know, man, it's just, I don't know. Throughout this entire build-up, all I can feel are chills. I know what's gonna happen. So many of us know what's gonna happen. But still, there's always gonna be that little bit of impact when we see that it's actually finally happened. Ugh, man, what an amazing build-up scene.
I did it, boys. I finally did it. A chimera that understands human speech.
That's amazing. It can actually talk.
Now I don't have to worry about losing my certification.
That person, Edward. That person, Edward. That person, Edward. Big Brother Ed.
And just like Ed, we all have our eyes widen, feeling that horrific sense of dread of what just happened and how the realization just hits like a brick.
Nina and Alexander. Where are they?
Damn Brett, figuring it out so quickly.
Brother!
This is how we progress.
Shut up! Do you really think you can get away with this? Messing around with someone's life like that? Your own daughter!
Someone's life, you say? You'd know all about that, wouldn't you? Look at you, FullMetal Alchemist. Look at your leg, your arm, your brother. Those things are also the result of messing around with somebody's life, aren't they?
This is what I've been waiting to talk about. I feel like in this scene, this moment, this second, Ed finally truly understands the gravity of the taboo him and Alphonse committed all those years ago in trying to resurrect their mother. That ideal that him and Alchemist alike are the closest things that to a god there is finally shattered and broken. Hearing Tucker compare his actions to his own, making him have to face that reality that yes, he did try playing God. Yes, he did try meddling with someone else's life, and he has to finally accept that.
Edward, no. Daddy, do you hurt Daddy?
I'm sorry. Even with all our power, we can't do anything to change you back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The way Tucker crawls after his pocket watch, how he's so happy that he passed and he can stay a state alchemist. This is the final piece of the puzzle to show that he didn't do this to further science for his research. All he cared about was keeping the financial gain that came with being a state alchemist. Here, look a little closer at these clips with this context in mind.
Man, this house is huge.
Or we'll be left with nothing. Again. We were so poor in those days. I don't want to go back to those days again. I don't even think I could. I made it just in time. I get to remain a state alchemist.
Somewhere in Tucker's sick, twisted, fucked up mind, he had convinced himself that if I do this for science, it'll just be okay. Like, it won't be as big of a deal. He's unable to see the gravity of what he's just done, and that whether it's for science or monetary gain or anything, what he did was downright monstrous, but he doesn't see it as that. It's just so fascinating to me that he has completely deceived himself for what his motivation was. Because I find it kind of fascinating how his actions were just downright unjustifiable, monstrous, and just pure evil, and yet no one seems to really talk about how his motivations were completely askewed to him. But yet no one talks about how he had deceived himself of his true motivations. I'd also like to point out that they cut another moment from the manga here. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but after Alphonse stops Ed, he warns Tucker that he better be quiet or he'll be the one to snap next. It would have been nice to see that even though Alphonse is the more restrained of the two brothers, he also has a breaking point that he's getting dangerously close to snapping. And I just wanted to bring that up because I find it so fascinating how he has deceived himself.
You will more than likely come across cases like this again in the future. And you may end up having to get your own hands dirty as well.
We may be called dogs of the military. We may even be cursed as devils. We know the truth. We know we're not devils. We know we're not gods. We're human. We're only human! You can't even do anything to save one innocent little girl.
This is a stark contrast to how Ed first viewed himself in the last episode.
We observe the physical laws that govern this world to try to learn the truth. It's ironic, really, that through the application of science, we have in many ways been given the power to play gods ourselves. We know the truth. We know we're not devils. We know we're not gods. We're human. We're only human!
For the first time in his life, Edward Elric truly feels powerless to do anything. Unable to help Nina, one innocent little girl, he's finally accepted the lesson that the truth tried teaching him a long, long time ago. And that is that he is just a human. not an alchemist who is special. He's just another human who has finally realized the gravity of what he was trying to meddle with all those years ago. He just feels so powerless. This is the first time in his life where alchemy cannot give him a solution to the problem. Even when he and his brother lost their original bodies, he could still think of a solution with alchemy. But here, it means nothing. It's nothing that can do to help anyone.
So what good are we then? I wonder why no one's capable of understanding me. Nina.
Why the fuck is Nina in the same room as him? Like, I know they have to protect them, but bro, like, think about it. They're putting the victim next to the monster who did this to them. Nina should be in a separate room with someone catering to her, trying to make her feel better or at least comfort her. Not with the psycho monster father that did this to her.
You're Shao Tucker, correct? Foolish alchemists who turn their backs on the ways of God. Shall be punished. God, hear me. 2 human souls have just been returned to you. Please accept them into your loving arms. Please grant these poor lost souls everlasting peace and salvation.
Overall, this was the first amazing episode in Brotherhood. Here they were finally able to just slow down, let it play out, and follow the manga. But not just that, they even improved on it by adding new scenes of dialogue, camera angles. Scar being introduced at the beginning of this episode really escalated and helped his character overall making an appearance. Having him appear at the beginning and end made that impact so much more drastic. Like, we knew he was there, but we didn't think he'd make an appearance so soon after just being introduced to him. It really helped establish him as a threat to Ed and Al and all state alchemists around. Overall, no complaints here on this episode. It's phenomenal. It is the one that really hooks viewers in. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. Just an amazing episode.